Top of the morning. It is July 8th, and I am here with your geopolitical news. Right now, I'm on a YouTube platform on an individual's page named Scott Ritter. Well, this is not his page, this is Muhammad Wycka's page, but this is an individual by the name of Scott Ritter, ex-military individual. He has a lot of insight on the geopolitical events that's going on around the world right now. So, as you can see from the headline, Iran unveils nuclear missiles, strongly threaten Israel. Iron Dome, just a scrap heap. So, this is going to give some insight to how he feels about what's going on as it relates to Iran unveiling nuclear missiles, um, the threat that it imposes on Israel and its Iron Dome system that they use to target missiles that come into their country. So we're just gonna do a quick reaction to this video, and then I'm gonna give you guys some insights and some thoughts about how I feel about what's being said.
Every other nation within missile range know that there will be a heavy price to be paid if you attack Iranian soil. That Iran will not tolerate the kind of attack that took place on the 1st of April, where Israel attacked the Iranian consulate in Damascus. And I believe Iran is also putting a marker on the table that says Iran will no longer tolerate the kind of actions such as the assassination of nuclear scientists on its soil by Israel in the past. This will not be tolerated. That in the future, if you choose to attack Iran, Iran will retaliate, and they will retaliate with the kind of force that cannot be interdicted and the kind of force that will destroy that which it is seeking to destroy.
Now, also, what's not being said or what's not being mentioned is that Russia also has a very intricate role to play inside this situation, as Iran is one of the allies of Russia. And so my intellect tells me that Russia will not allow Iran to be completely destroyed. It will not happen. And if Russia is a nuclear power with the same capabilities, some would argue better or worse, than the United States, then how can the situation actually play out? What will happen between the United States of America and Russia if they both decide, which the United States of America has already decided, to interject itself into this conflict? Well, if Russia decides to interject itself into the conflict on the behalf of Iran, then where will we be?
The Iranians were very clever in creating this posture, in that all they had to do was show a proof of concept. I think a lot of people were saying, well, they didn't destroy an airfield, they didn't destroy an Israeli headquarters, they didn't kill hundreds or thousands of Israelis. They weren't intending to. They were simply letting the Israelis and the Americans know that we have the capacity to destroy an airfield. All the Israelis have to do is look at a map, look where the Iranian missiles hit, and understand that the Iranians hit that which they were aiming at, and there was nothing Israel could do to stop those missiles from reaching their target. And
Which means that the the missiles and the attacks that are coming from Iran are very calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. They're precise and they're strategic. Unlike Israel, and what you and the whole world, all of us, have been witnessing since October 7th, it's just been a complete massacre of innocent civilians, men, women, children, elderly, infrastructure destroyed, schools, homes, hospitals, churches, mosques. It's just been a complete destruction. But yet, the United States of America and its Western allies would have you and I believe that Iran are terrorists. They are the axis of evil. They are pure evil. Well, I have to say that this is contradictory to that because, as this man just mentioned, millions and thousands or hundreds even of Israelis are not being killed. No, these are targeted attacks. Targeted at who? Targeted at its enemy, which is the Israeli government, the Israeli military.
Israel is the most heavily defended airspace in the world, with the most sophisticated anti-missile technology deployed in depth, and they couldn't stop the Iranian missiles. So the signal to the United States, which lacks this comprehensive air defense umbrella over its installations in the Middle East, is there too, but for the grace of God go you, if you choose to attack us or facilitate an Israeli attack. So this was, I call it one of the greatest military demonstrations in modern history, because by doing what they did, Iran not only put Israel into check, but believe it or not, they have created a foundation for peace and stability in the Middle East by eliminating from consideration options that Israel and the United States may have been considering down the road, such as a preemptive strike against Iranian nuclear facilities or a punishing attack against the Iranian regime. The United States and Israel now on notice that if they attempt to do something like that, the price they will pay will be prohibitively high. In the case of Israel, it might be terminally high.
Which means that Israel would face the possibility of being completely wiped off the face of the earth. And that's a very stark and grim possibility. But as it relates to the Israeli government and the Israeli military, it is exactly what is well deserving. You see, what we've all been witnessing for these past, I want to say approximately what, 8 to 9 months, I believe, since October 7th. Right now, we're in the month of July. So, approximately around 9 to 10 months, we've been witnessing a complete massacre. We've been witnessing something that's arguably worse than the Holocaust because of the amount of time that this is spanning across and the fact that there is no help, the fact that the aid that is being sent to Palestine, to the Gaza Strip, is not even reaching the Gaza Strip. And so all these injustices, as I've said to you guys in previous reports, Benjamin Netanyahu has a warrant out for his arrest from the International Court of Justice. But many of these people don't respect the International Court of Justice, even though it is supposed to be one of the highest courts on planet Earth. It is supposed to set a precedent for how nations and countries are supposed to conduct themselves. But what precedent can be set when the leaders choose not to obey, choose not to listen, to adhere to any of decisions, any of the decisions that are being made by this International Court of Justice? You know, I said before that it's a kangaroo court because many leaders have had warrants out for their arrest. And what these leaders do is just move around the world in and out of different countries that they don't have to worry about being detained or arrested at. So it doesn't matter if the countries that are adversarial to me have a warrant out for my arrest and they would detain me. I would just never go to those countries. And I would only visit countries of my allies where I'm safe. Safe from detainment, safe from arrest, safe from actually being brought to justice.
Help those of us who don't know weapons and systems like you do, Scott. I said earlier in my monologue that the very slow moving drones and then the cruise missiles that were launched, second grade ones, were to, as it were, draw the anti missile fire to exhaust it. It's very expensive, it's in rather short supply. And then to, as a coup de grace, if you like, deliver the ballistic missiles, which cannot be, were not stopped, were not interdicted, were able to land on their target, the airbase in the Negev. Have I got that right? And can you help further explain?
So that's another tactic that's being used against the Israelis because they have a system that is called the Iron Dome system. Basically, this is a defense mechanism that launches counter missiles at anything that comes into the Israeli airspace as it relates to something as a missiles or, attack drones or anything of that nature coming in. So they have defense systems, but these defense systems are being exhausted because Iran, along with other militia groups, are launching hundreds, if not thousands, of missiles at Israel in single barrages at one time. And so this is going to exhaust these defense systems. So this situation has gone from Palestine and Hamas from October 7th and the premise of destroying Hamas or capturing Hamas, releasing the hostages. This scenario has escalated from that all the way to Israel possibly going to war with Iran now. So just take a moment and digest that, because now the situation has definitely escalated to a broader regional war.
Explain. Certainly. First of all, let's just point out the reality that Iran started its attack by launching the slowest, loudest weapons in its arsenal, the Shahed drones. And they did that because they were sending a signal to Israel, the United States, and everybody, we're attacking Israel. Now, if they were looking to carry out a lethal attack, why announce it 5 hours in advance? Why give Israel a chance to withdraw its high-valued assets from bases that are vulnerable? Why give the United States, Great Britain, and France a chance to move resources up, ships, airplanes over Jordan to intercept these missiles? Iran was saying, here.
The only reason why you would alert someone to a military action that you're about to take is to give them a chance, is to give them an opportunity, is to be fair, which the Western powers and the Western news media outlets will have you and I believe that these people do not know how to be. These are ways that we're not supposed to know that they are, but they're practicing restraint. They're practicing the most restraint because they're trying to give Israel a chance to correct the error in its ways. And I believe that they've been giving them an astronomical amount of time to correct the error in their ways rather than just waging all out war against Israel. No, they've tried to be diplomatic. They've tried to give them time. They tried to make them see the error in their ways, which they have not. And so the situation has only escalated from October 7th.
We come, shoot us down, and they did. They came out and they shot the drones down. Now, Iran launched tens of millions of dollars worth of drones. The United States and Israel spent billions of dollars shooting them down. This is a financial equation that's unsustainable, and that was one of the points that Iran was making. Is you
And that's a whole nother topic for a later discussion as it relates to the United States of America and tax-paying citizens. What you're actually paying for, where your money is going, why they keep taking money from us to send to these other countries for these wars that we have absolutely nothing to do with, no interest in, and absolutely nothing to gain outside of maybe what a very few have to gain as it relates to those that are inside the United States government that profit off of war, that profit off of these government contracts as it relates to conflict, as it relates to government aid, all of these different things, the rebuilding of Ukraine, supposedly after the war is over. But some of us believe, and rightfully so, that if you keep pushing Russia into a corner, there will be nothing to rebuild in Ukraine, as Russia will destroy Ukraine.
Can't afford this kind of war. Then they sent in cruise missiles that, combined with the drones, define the initial phase of the air defense reaction. Not only the air defense, the airplanes, but once they penetrated the airplanes, the Iron Dome started engaging. And they brought in missiles at a higher level so that the aero systems and the Patriots started to engage. And they defined the radar. They defined how Israel's walking in on the targets. And then they did three things. And this is where it gets iffy. I have to be honest, George. It's very
And so as you see from what Mr. Ritter is saying, it's all been strategic. Iran has been launching missiles, attack drones at Israel. But some of these things have been just to see the reaction of Israel, the reaction of its Iron Dome system. And all of these things have been recorded. The information has been recorded. I just watched a video the other day where Iran flew a drone, an attack drone over Israel, and it received key information, visuals, audio from key targets, military bases, and whatever may have you inside of Israel, only to release the video and put it out on social media to let the world know that they actually do have access to Israel's airspace. They can infiltrate Israel's airspace anytime they feel like it. These are all warnings, warnings before something greater happens. You can't call a people complete evil, the axis of evil, complete terrorists, complete terror, rapists, murderers. You can't convince us that these are the actions of a people who will give you a warning before they do such a thing. You can't convince us of this because you have attacked Palestine from all corners without warning. You haven't given people warning. You've lied to us and lied to the media and said you have given people warning and ample opportunity to move out of these places, to move out of the point of attack where you are about to drop a 2,000 or 5,000 pound bomb, whatever pound bomb you drop, wherever you drop it at. Then you have the people believe that it is Hamas that are forcing people to stay there. How can you force someone to stay anywhere? When there's death and destruction all around you, you don't have to force anybody to do anything. People are moving around in utter confusion.
very early, and there's incomplete information out there. But my understanding is that Iran used three types of ballistic missiles. One ballistic missile, it's a very clever missile. It uses a warhead that separates and then burst fires a bunch of decoys out there that appear to be specifically designed to absorb Iron Dome missiles. So remember, the Iron Dome is tracking a target. You fire these decoy bursts, and so the Iron Dome says, "Aha, we have now 25 targets," and they fire 25 interceptors. Meanwhile, smaller warheads, maneuverable, burst through those interceptors and go down and hit these.
And there you have it. So now you just sent out 25 missiles to intercept what you think is 25 targets, but it was actually just one missile that its head detached and created what looked like 25 targets. I'd also like to point out that there's a complete mismatch as it relates to the financials. The attack kamikaze drones that Iran are using cost from around $15,000 to $20,000 each to make. Meanwhile, the missiles and military aid that the United States is using and giving Israel, these things cost in the millions to billions of dollars. We're talking about one missile costing a few $1 million a piece. So think about the ratio. It is what Scott Ritter just called unsustainable. You won't be able to sustain that level of productivity. How can you create enough missiles to combat those drones when the cost to make those missiles is astronomical?
Israeli air defense systems. And that appears to be the case. I was looking at some video where you see this taking place, the shotgun effect of these bomblets, the Iron Dome responding, and then coming in, and they hit the air defense system. So they're showing the Israelis how we're going to take you out. The next thing they do see is they have these missiles coming in where you see the warhead separating from the missile body. And then there's a booster engine on the warhead that drives it down into the ground at high speed, blowing away any radar intercept, any ability to intercept, hitting the target. And what
And sadly, another point that I like to point out is that I don't believe that the United States of America is a military country. And what I mean by that is there's no real military arms and you know uh, um, um, artillery and things of that nature being made on U.S. soil in high volume. I don't believe. Now you have certain defense contractors that we do have contracts to do certain things, and that's probably where the bulk of the United States military industrial complex gets its equipment from. But that's as it relates to what can be provided inside the United States of America. The United States of America seems to task a lot of different countries with getting artillery shells and different things that we don't necessarily make on US soil.
this does is it clears the space. They clear air defense. The final thing are these heavy warheads that come off of the heavy missiles that hit the runways and blew the big craters in them. This was a three-layered ballistic missile attack that was specifically designed by the Iranians to destroy Israeli air defense, to clear the way, to take out air defense, and then to show that we can put the big warheads on the target anywhere in Israel we want to. And this was successful. And the beauty of this is they didn't use their best missiles. All three, with the exception, one of these missiles is rather new, but it's not the hypersonic missile. Israel didn't use their hypersonic missile. And Israel has lots of these missiles. This was just a single strike package. Iran has several strike packages just like this held in reserve that they have for Dimona, that they have for the Kiryat in Tel Aviv, that they have for other air bases. Iran can repeat this process all day long. And what they showed Israel is this is what we can do. And I can guarantee you there's people like me right now who wear a uniform or intelligence officers doing the exact same analysis doing, and they're writing big critical reports up the chain of command saying, stop all nonsense. We can't win this war. It's over, guys. Stop it. We have no defense here. If Iran wants to come in, we are powerless. This thing will escalate out of control. Make it stop now, which is why Joe Biden was on the phone with the G7 to intervene with Israel, why Joe Biden was on the phone with Netanyahu, and why Netanyahu's generals were telling him, stand down. We can't win this fight. This is a
So there you have it, people. Scott Ritter just confirms Israel cannot win this fight against Iran. And if they persist on trying to widen the war, broaden the war, move into Lebanon, move into Iran, if they persist, then we very well might be headed towards World War III faster than we all could imagine. In other geopolitical news, Al Jazeera reports Gaza toll could exceed 186,000. The study finds factors like disease will lead to many more indirect deaths in the long run, even if the war stops now. So basically, disease, famine, all of these things are circulating tremendously throughout Gaza right now because of the infrastructure being totally demolished, totally destroyed, because of the bombs that are being dropped on Gaza right now. All of this, all of these chemicals and different toxins and things of that nature, and people not having medicines that they need, people not having access to fresh water, people not having access to electricity, people not having access to gas, heat. All of these different things are factors that will contribute to more deaths. And then we haven't even dealt with the people, the deaths underneath the rubble. You see, construction crews have to be sent in there to remodel, to rebuild Gaza. And once that happens, there will be an enormous amount of people that are found underneath the rubble. And so that will rise the death toll as well. And so I've always said that the number that they keep propagating, that they keep promoting on whatever news media outlet is inaccurate. It can't be accurate. If you're not on the ground, it cannot be accurate. If you have not lifted up the rubble to find all of the people that are underneath the rubble, underneath the destruction, then you will never have an accurate death toll. So, these numbers are just estimations. These numbers are just, you know, numbers that people are factoring in their minds what it could be or what it would possibly be. But no one knows for absolute certainty how many people were actually killed up until this point in the Gaza Strip. In other geopolitical news, Al Jazeera reports Kyiv Children Hospital hit as Russia fires barrage of missiles on Ukraine. The attack, which killed at least 29, is considered the heaviest Russian bombardment of Kyiv in almost 4 months. So, as I told you before, Russia is totally destroying Ukraine. And this is a tragic situation as it relates to the children's hospital being attacked, or being not directly attacked, but being a casualty of an attack launched by Russia. And so it is very disturbing to see these things. It is very disturbing to know that it was children that suffered in this attack. And these are the things that bring me to a place where I feel compelled to report these things. Because we are people. I feel like we the people get to truly decide. Now, I don't believe that we are moving as a unified people, because if we were moving as a unified people, then these things would not be allowed to happen. But because we're so separated, because we're so divided, and it's not just in my country, the United States of America, it's in all countries across the planet, all countries on the globe. We are all divided as a people. And these are the reasons why acts like this, things like this that happen, can happen and go unpunished. This is a tragedy. As a parent, my heart goes out, my condolences go out to the people that lost children inside this children's hospital. If you haven't done so already, follow Street Icon on all social media platforms. That's Street Icon 8080 on the YouTube platform. At Street Icon 8080 on the YouTube platform. And Street Icon 1 on all other social media platforms. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about the stories that I brought to you today. How specifically and exactly do they make you feel? Drop a comment in the comment section, and always remember, stay vigilant, stay safe, peace.